Cool. There we go. Welcome, everybody. This is town hall meeting number 51. It's June 6th, 2023, and today we're joined by a nice group of people. We've got Fly, we've got John Grove, special guest of the day. We've got Cran, Felix, Haley, Ian, Jasfin, Judith, Rose, Slate, Sly, Stephen, Sugar and Spice, Tavo, Tommy, and Ubio. Thank you all very much for being here. Yeah, today we have a guest, as I mentioned, and that's also the very first point on the agenda. So we'll start off with a little introduction on Sophiaverse, and yeah, try to ideate and figure out how we as an ambassador program can help out with Sophiaverse, and the other way how Sophiaverse can help us out, of course. And after that, we'll reserve like the last 25 minutes-ish for the workgroup's updates and potentially open topics. And then I'd like to start out with a quick reminder and overview for those who are here for the first time or watching for the first time on YouTube. A little overview on the ambassador program and what we're aiming to do, which is we try to support the SingularityNet ecosystem and spread the word about it. And we do this by having a broad collection of self-organizing groups, which each focus on their own, special little interest, the things they enjoy working on. So it's a nice way of collaborating and meeting nice people at the same time. I did adjust the agenda, but not the order of the slides. But we'll get started with the Sophiaverse agenda item. So I'd like to welcome John Grove, who is comms director of Singularity DAO, and an all-around great guy, I have to admit. And is also the project advisor for Sophiaverse. That's a very minimal intro, but John, if I'm skipping out on something...
It was perfect. More than enough. I'm the guy that's lucky enough to come and tell you guys about Sophiaverse. That's all I really need to be known as. So let me take over for a minute and share my screen. Hang on, I've never done this on a Mac before. Share screen. Yes. Confirm that you can see my screen, please.
All good?
Yeah. Okay, so Peter asked me to come and chat with you guys about Sophiaverse and how we can sort of bring the ambassador program into it and bring it into the ambassador program. And I mean, with Sophiaverse, the overarching goal is to crowdsource the data, the code, the development, the interactions, the training, the ethical guidelines, and just everything that comes along with the advancement of artificial intelligence. So in effect, the whole purpose of Sophiaverse is to onboard ambassadors to create super intelligence. So I'm fairly sure that we can find a huge amount of synergies between what Sophiaverse is doing and what you guys are doing. And initially, hopefully, it'll be you guys helping us spread the word. And then once the word gets big enough, it will be us creating a platform where we can reach out to hundreds of thousands of people to spread the word of what we at Sophiaverse and of course we at SingularityNet are doing. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to figure some stuff out at the end of this. First thing that I want to do was take you briefly through Sophiaverse for those who don't know what it is. For those who don't know what it is, shame on you. But here we go. So this is the white paper of Sophiaverse. You can see up here it says page 1 of 55. I'm not going to do 55 pages right now. It's just sort of a point for me to look at to give myself some cues on what we can talk about. And if you have questions, we can zip to a section and go over certain things. First of all, this is going to be the most beautiful white paper you have ever seen. And the credit goes to Gabriel, who is the designer at Singularity DAO, for his amazing work on making this. Prepared to be mind blown. So Sophiaverse consists of a number of items. Sophiaverse itself being like the umbrella term for multiple things within it. There's the AI human hive mind. We'll come back to that in a little. There's Sophia's AI lab, which is where we'll go first. There's the Sentience wallet, which currently is the wallet planned for the ecosystem of Sophiaverse, but there is discussions as to if this could perhaps extend into the SingularityNet ecosystem as well. There's Sophia's Age of Singularities, which is the metaverse part of the Sophiaverse. It's the gamification. It's where you go in, you do quests, you fight bad guys, you build houses, you know. These are maybe the main items, and there'll be a couple of pieces within that, such as the Sophia DAO, which is what many people know this project as. We shifted the name from Sophia DAO to Sophiaverse due to the fact that a normal DAO is controlling the progress of the project itself, whereas Sophia DAO will have a very specific role, which is overseeing the growth of these AIs and overseeing the way they're training and overseeing the rules that they're learning, overseeing the ethics that they're being guided by. So it didn't seem appropriate to call the whole project Sophia DAO when really it's one small but incredibly important section of Sophiaverse. So the first thing I want to take you to is Sophia's AI lab. Look at that, you click on it and it goes there. It's the greatest white paper ever. So Sophia's AI lab is, well, first of all, it's releasing in the next couple of weeks. So it should, touch wood, be out before we have any kind of token launch or anything like that. So people will be able to use it. It currently exists as a full-fledged app that is only capable of running on essentially a supercomputer. It's Unreal 5. It's billions and billions of pixels on screen. So we're in the process right now. We've almost finished of converting that to a WebGL experience that users can interact with in their web browser. Amazingly, it looks pretty much as good as this. You can't really tell the difference, but it's much, much lighter and capable of being online. That's going to be releasing pretty soon. It'll only be releasing with a few features, but it's looking pretty exciting. So as I was saying, we consider Sophia AI Labs as the nexus of the Sophiaverse. It's where a user can log in, interact with their own personal Sophia. She will be unique to you. So I would have my Sophia that I interact with. Peter would have his Sophia that he interacts with. Bly would have his Sophia. When we first meet these Sophias, they will all be the same Sophia. However, as we interact with them over time, their personalities will diverge based on what we do with them, how we talk to them, but not only what we do with them and how we talk to them, but how we code them ourselves. So one of the most important aspects of Sail and Sophiaverse is that we are designing it in such a way that there will be curriculums that Sophia guides you through and quests that you can complete to learn these skills. So taking coding, for example, we'll give you a quest, please help Sophia learn to raise her right hand. Obviously, technically, we can already do this, but we'll have it disabled for the purpose of this quest. And Sophia will teach you how to code this into her. You'll be able to code it into her. You'll be able to see the results. You'll be able to test them on her. And then she raises her left hand and she'll go, oh, I think you've maybe made a mistress here. And she'll explain to you the error that you've made and how to fix it. And we'll be releasing tools that allow people to do this at all levels, with the goal of this potentially being in schools for children to learn with. So this is a really cool and crucial feature of Sophia's AI Lab, with the goal to be that we can onboard all of these budding new would-be AI minds that haven't yet had the opportunity. But because we're going to be open sourcing Sophia's entire code and everything with Sophiaverse, we'll also be able to onboard high-level AI devs who can create brand new features that no one's created at all, test them on their personal Sophia, And if they're successful, if they get Sophia doing something new that hasn't been done before, they can submit their test code to the real Sophia, get rewarded tokens for contributing to the greater AGI that we're trying to build. This in a nutshell is Sophia AI Labs. There's much more to it. But after explaining the first piece, I would open up and say if anyone wants to ask any questions about it, and see what people are thinking.
I can start. I mean, thanks a lot. I mean, that's a great presentation. That got me excited, for sure. One question that I have is, when you talk about coding stuff into Sophia, what do you mean exactly? Is it some integration of like I don't know, some AI algorithm with an interaction of the physical sense, like the machinery or the robotic sense? Is it purely robotics, coding something into the robotics of Sophia? But what do you mean exactly?
Actually, both. So the Sophia that exists inside the AI lab, which for argument's sake we'll call the virtual Sophia, is a replica of the real Sophia robot. So if you want to learn or practice coding robotic functionalities, you can use this on your virtual Sophia. And if everything goes to plan, which hopefully it will, in the future, you would even be able to, because everything will be open sourced, even the 3D models for the robots and stuff, you could even print all of the parts, use your SOAP tokens to buy the actuators that you need, and you could even build a robot in your living room to then push that code to and see the robot in your living room do it. So you do have the robotics, but the AI source code will also be open sourced and also be there inside the Sail app for you to mess around with. So yes, you can play around with the algorithms too. So both is the answer.
Thanks a lot. That's cool.
Is there an anticipated launch date for Sail?
There is, but I'm told this is being recorded and goes out publicly, so I can't tell you exactly, but I can say that it's less than a month.
This man is talking like that. Really less important.
Tommy, go for it.
Hey, John, Tommy Fry. I think you answered part of my question in Rojo's answer, and I was wondering about the Hanson robotic baby Sophias, if that was going to tie in. And the second was, is this an extension of Twin Protocol?
Okay, interesting questions, good questions. So firstly, I've actually held one of those baby Sophias in my hand. They're super cool. They unfortunately still aren't ready to start shipping yet, but they are definitely going to tie in. You would be able to, theoretically at this point, it's still a work in progress, but you would be able to actually get your baby Sophia and have a version of her within the game, which you can, within the Sail app, which you can prep code for her and push it to your baby Sophia. And you would be able to actually train your baby Sophia, and the app would teach you how to and give you the knowledge that you need to then create totally unique things for your baby Sophia too. Yeah. And in relation to Twin, I don't know how much I can say just yet, but Twin, the team behind Twin are heavily involved in the work of Sophiaverse, and we're very close to them. Twin is a very different but similar project in the terms of what their targets are. They're targeting more B2B, whereas we're trying to target just broad spectrum everybody. And Twin has a very specific use case, which is, I don't want to spoil too much of Twin's thunder, so I won't go into it too deeply. But to answer your question, no, it's not directly linked to Twin. However, there is likely to be a Twin tech used in Sophiaverse and Sophiaverse tech used in Twin, yes.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. I appreciate it.
Hi, John. It's Stephen with QA DAO. Great project. I think there's great opportunities for education, outreach, and engagement here. You mentioned open source. Are the repositories public? And if so, are there links to the repositories? Thanks.
So currently they're in a state of being cleaned up and refined and tight, just getting ready to be released. And around the launch of the Sail app or soon after it, they will be fully open sourced under the GPL, General Public License. What that means is that it is free for anybody to access, to use, to do whatever they want with. And if they're using it for non-profit, it's fine, carry on. If you're using it for education, if you're using it for charity, do whatever you like with it. But if you wanted to use it for profit or to use it directly using the Sophiaverse name, there would be some kind of fees involved. But the code itself is just going to be out there for everybody.
Great news. Thanks, John.
What are the main languages in which the software is written?
I haven't got the slightest idea. I'm not involved in the coding, to be perfectly honest. So I honestly couldn't answer that. I would imagine there's Python involved. I know that the game engines are in both Unity and Unreal. I think there is a lot of WebGL going on for the web version of it. Obviously with AI, they're using things like Rust and Python, but I'm not sure of the specific languages. I'm afraid that's not where I'm involved. I'd love to tell you, but...
Okay. As far as you don't say Haskell, beautiful polish.
I don't think there's any Haskell. I mean, maybe some.
Judith, please go ahead.
Hi, John. Thank you for your presentation. Really interesting. I have a bit of a different question. Not sure if you'll be able to answer. I couldn't help but notice in the logo that you used symbolism, the O looking a bit like the third eye, and above that is something that looks like a lotus flower, which is usually the symbol of the crown chakra. So it looks like two spiritual symbols in that logo. And I'm wondering what the thought process behind it is. Not sure if you can.
Yeah, we've got a number of logos. Let me see if I can.
The Sophiaverse one. It was kind of on your first slide.
Yeah, we've got a number. So we've got this
That one.
Sophiaverse one here, which is using the lotus flower. Yeah, that's kind of. So the lotus itself is being used as the branding for everything within the Sophia ecosystem. I'm actually not sure why it was chosen, but I really like it. I'm afraid I couldn't tell you about the symbolism involved. David Hansen would be the person to ask, but I'm sure if you were to send him a message on Telegram, he'd probably answer in the Telegram community. We've
what's
got
his
the
name?
Sophiaverse logo. David Hansen, he's the CEO of Hansen Robotics and the father
cool.
of Sophia.
Okay,
we've got a
yeah.
couple of other logos. I'm just seeing if I can find any for you. I don't know. Trying to get some. So we've got here, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but here we've got the Sophia's AI lab logo. That would be the logo that represents her lab in particular. What else have we got? Well, here's a cool thing. Sorry, I'm going to get distracted for one moment. Here's a cool thing that's within the Sophia AI lab. It's called the Hollow Wall, and it's the connection to the metaverse worlds. So you're going to have a wall within her lab with a portal to Decentraland or a portal to the Age of Singularities game. And the quests that you go on will take you hopping through different partnered games in order to complete the quest. It's going to be super cool. I'm just trying to find you some more logos.
Oh, it's all good. I was just asking about the one at the top because I thought it was an interesting choice of symbols.
It is. I wish I could tell you why it was that it was chosen. I just kind of took it for granted that it was a lotus and that's what it would be. Oh, I can't find any.
Yeah, it's
other
just two
logos on this
symbols
one.
that are
Oh,
usually
never mind.
used in religion and spirituality. So I was surprised, I must say, the least.
There's certainly no religious links that I'm aware of. Let's put it that way.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
But knowing David Hansen, probably definitely energetic. intention there. So that could well be. Could be a very interesting answer there.
Yeah, I will ask David Hansen, and if on the off chance that I'm not here next week, I'll tell Peter the answer, and he can let you know.
Thank you.
Any other questions, or shall we jump on to another point?
Yeah, let's also
Right.
look a little bit at the clock. I really hate rushing you because I'm enjoying.
Oh, have I been going on for ages already? Sorry, I do.
No. Okay.
Let's just touch briefly on the AI human hive mind, because that's the sort of overarching goal of what Sophiaverse is trying to create. So we spoke about how in Sophia's AI lab you can create your own Sophia with a divergent personality to anybody else's Sophia. The AI human hive mind is the collective intelligence of all of our different Sophias and their interactions with all of the different human players within the game. So as we're all adventuring around on these different quests, fighting bad guys and building towns and whatever, running economies, whatever else we may be doing, our different Sophias are interacting with us, they're interacting with each other, they're interacting with other players, and they're interacting with other AI NPCs within the game. So we've got all of these different AIs that are all slightly different, although they came from one single space, and they're all evolving and growing in different ways. But all of these AIs are also elevating the AI human hive mind, which is the AI sentience code, as we're calling it, of the greater single ultra Sophia, which would be represented by the actual physical real Sophia. So the AI human hive mind is essentially the goal, right? The goal, we're releasing all of these different technologies, all of these different player experiences, all of the open source code, with the goal that as a huge community of players, developers, creatives, quest givers, farmers, builders, whatever it may be, all training these different AIs, and then all of these different AIs are becoming intelligent or maybe more stupid in different ways. But then there's this one hive mind above it that's just absorbing all of this knowledge, hopefully all of this benevolence, all of this kindness, all of the ways that people deal with trolls in game, all of the different things that have been going on. And there's this one group experience, this global brain, with the goal that hopefully with all of the OpenCog technology within it and other things, Hyperon, SingularityNet's AGIX, Hypercycle, bringing it all together, then Sophiaverse, maybe, hopefully, in theory, will be the birthplace of the AGI that we've all been working so hard to bring about. And that's sort of the very starting point of Sophiaverse in Sail and the very end point of Sophiaverse in the AI human hive mind. Any questions? Anything else to go over, or shall we open the floor and talk about how we can do some ambassador stuff with this?
That sounds
just
cool.
very quickly on what you just said about the hive mind, and one overarching intelligence which has access to the other intelligences. Presumably that's transactional, and there's some sovereignty consideration there.
Yes,
of course, with the open source element. Just a footnote. Just put that as just putting that out there. I think it's a really interesting concept.
Yes, it would very much be an opt-in if you wanted to share anything with that greater intelligence. You would not be required to, but you would be rewarded if you did.
Is the code currently open source, or is that waiting for release?
We're just in the process of setting up all the GPL licenses to make sure that it's open sourced in the right ways so that people don't profit from it. It's open sourced with the goal of sharing this with charitable or educational for free, and those who want to profit from it would have to give us some royalty or something. So we're just setting up the GPL licenses to make sure that the open sourcing is done in the right way. And then it will be released in the next, I would say, month or so. I don't know that exact date, so don't quote me on that. But
then I see a question in chat from Slate. Thanks for asking. Does the Hive mind, or if you do have a mic, feel free to simply take the mic and ask, as you wish. And if not, I can. No problem. No problem. Slate asks, does the Hive mind take both the emotional and practical feelings or actions inside of it?
the goal is both. Yeah, the intention is both. It's obviously a difficult challenge, and it takes a lot of creativity on the side of people like Ben and Sergey over at SingularityNet to create these technologies to actually enable that. But we're working on it, and yeah, hopefully it will take whatever experiences it can from it.
Yeah, cool. Guillermo, please.
Hi there, John. Thanks for the presentation and the amazing development. I'm sorry, maybe I'm asking something that was already addressed before I joined. Can you give us a case study or a specific case of using Sophia's metaverse in an educational matter or scenario?
Yeah, sure. So the goal with Sophia's AI Lab is to create certain curriculums that obviously the curriculums we would create would be in artificial intelligence and robotics. And these curriculums would be designed to go from the very novice all the way to the expert levels. We will be offering Sophia's AI Lab free of charge to schools, for example, and the students would be able to talk to Sophia, who would give them a quest, say, help Sophia speak Spanish. Sophia can speak Spanish, but for the sake of the quest, it would be disabled. And instead, we would provide them with the necessary tools and understanding and guidance to very simply just enable Spanish mode on her. Then maybe the second quest would be help Sophia learn German. This time we haven't just disabled German, we've removed some of the necessary code as well that it would require to make it run, or whether we've broken a little bit of the code that would be required to make it run. And so Sophia herself would guide them through the steps they need to do to troubleshoot what's wrong, teach them how to write these different lines of code that need to go on there, correct their work, check their work, all the way through to high level like university and beyond stuff where we're requesting things that actually we don't know how to do or that we haven't had time to do. And we just point people in the direction that they think they should go. And then we set them with these tasks and these problems to solve, and people get rewarded in the SOAP token for doing so.
Great, thanks. Thanks, John.
No worries.
Just I can see a lot of application on top of language, and as you address, there's a lot of experimentation and development
for sure.
ahead, no?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Language was just an example. The last example I gave was that she couldn't move her right arm, so you had to write some code to help her move her right arm. Yeah. You know, it could be anything. And we would, of course, also open the platform, other quests that aren't related to coding and AI. Maybe, perhaps you're really into art. You can put an art curriculum on there if you want to, and help people use all of these interesting AI tools to create amazing 3D artworks. So we would open the platform on the back end as well for people to add their own curriculums and their own interesting studies, their own quests for people to do. Peter might have a quest that he wants some ambassadors to do, but maybe none of you guys have the right skills. So he could put a quest out on there saying, we need XYZ done. And Sophia would, because Sophia obviously knows what you personally and knows your skills, she would say, hey, a quest just came out that you'd be perfect for. This is it. Would you like to have a try at it?
It's amazing. It's amazing. So much potential on it. Congratulations, John. This is freaking awesome.
I didn't do it, but thank you.
Tommy, go for it.
Thank you. Hey, John, you mentioned some questions about ambassador program, and I think that's a big part of what this this meeting is about. I've noticed some developments since you went away from Sophia DAO to Sophiaverse with the ambassador program in Sophia DAO. We're really getting our feet under us in SNet ambassador cadre. So how can we help? And are you thinking about a merge of the Sophia DAO ambassadors with SNet ambassadors so we can be more of a cohesive force in helping getting the word out?
That is a fantastic question. And there's something, I would love to mention that. Firstly, the ambassador program on Sophia DAO was set up some time ago by, actually, I'm not entirely sure who, because it was set up by an external group. And so we didn't really have much understanding of what was going on there, what its current status was. So we pulled it back for the time being with the goal of spinning it back up again, more in line with the current visions of Sophiaverse. And I think your suggestion is a fantastic suggestion that we try and align these two or even merge them. I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, both from and I I hate going back to traditional business models, but from an expense point and a centralization and an administration duplicity, it really does not seem to make sense to me to have multiple ambassador programs throughout the entire ecos. So it might be a boost to our program and the entire SNet ecos if we could start combining some of these and have one. And I hate using the term bureaucracy or administration, but that's essentially what it comes down to until we can figure out how to totally decentralize it. So this might be a good experiment, especially as we are working towards SingCom DAO.
Yeah, fully agreed. As I put in chat, I can very easily see a work group forming based on these ambassadors, which honestly, as John pointed out, that has been kind of like, well, it's not active right now, right? So it needs, and clearly, when that happens, you lose people. That's just unavoidable. But would be really good if we can. Can spin that up within maybe as a work group, maybe as a other, it doesn't matter how we call it, but to get these people into the family, that would be good.
I mean, John, is there some kind of forum there that say hypothetically, or well, it's not hypothetical, it's going to happen, it's launched, we have a forum there, and let's say some people start building things there. Can then communicate with you, so you can create a community there. So I'm just envisioning that, for example, the ambassadors could step forward and work on a curriculum or from a work group on a particular use cases, and then trial that with some trial and error, and then converse with other communities doing a similar sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not. Looks like your connection is dropping, or maybe it's mine.
No, I think John froze on me too.
Yep.
Yeah, there's tons of overlap in. I mean, just governance alone, right? Trying to govern a hive mind. That's not a small thing.
But is there like access to the previous ambassadors on that call, and then get like a call out, hey, we are rescheduling some call outs, what would be best time to see, and kind of have a onboarding of what happened previously back in the times, and how are the plans to be changed, what was set up in place for that, and then we can share from our side how we are structuring ambassador program and moving rows around.
Well,
And
I did witness quite a bit of that version of ambassador program. It was in a way a bit top down, and the tasks were really focused on social media. So in that way, that would be my description of it. Let's say it was not. It feels like in the current setup, what we're doing feels way broader. Also with a lot of room for input, which honestly, I don't try to talk bad about that ambassador program back then for Sophia, but yeah, it feels like that was different in setup. Let's put it like that. But still, these people are all very enthusiastic about Sophia, and now with the current, the project has evolved compared back to then. So I think they would also be eager to listen to a session like this and get involved. Tommy.
So I think my direct question to John, if he rejoined us, or to you, Peter, is it sounds like we should, as the ambassador cadre, start looking at how we can reach out to bring in these, and I'll call them former ambassadors of Sophia DAO, because that's been dismantled. So perhaps we should start either an incubation or strategy, wherever, start looking at how we can reach out. But the more direct question for David and for yourself is, how and what can we do to further the cause of Sophia verse?
Am I back?
You are.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I could hear you that whole time. I guess you couldn't hear me. I was saying loud and clear that I thought those were all amazing ideas. We should definitely do that, is what I was saying. So the current state of the ambassador program at Sophiaverse essentially is that no one involved is entirely sure what state it was in. And so we're kind of starting from scratch there. There are a number of people that are super excited to be ambassadors, but I don't think that they were ever particularly activated in the past either. So I think the first thing would be to introduce them, maybe start a shared group somewhere on Discord, introduce them, get talking to them, and maybe try and get them involved here.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll go for it.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me, of this ambassador program maybe a couple of months before. It is quite a similar state, so perhaps the experience we have gathered and all these structures and tools that we've been developing, this can be transferred or in another way learned from, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, Tommy, to answer your question, like on short term, what we can do. I think basically until launch, I'm not sure if we can do much more beyond spreading the word. Like I would love to lock in some beta access, of course, but I'm not sure if that even is a thing.
Yeah, I would love to as well, but I think it's pretty much a case of beta is just going to go live to the world, and that's going to be the ethos going forward. everyone gets to see what's being built. The white paper is live on the website if you want to read it.
All right.
I guess I see like a few potentialities, ways the program can be useful. But I guess it's confusing because there are a few. Perhaps it could help me out to frame it in terms of near term, middle term, and long term. Kind of how exactly we can implement, synergize.
I mean, very near term, we have a vote going on at DAO Maker, and we need as many votes as we can to get launched there. That would be, regardless of it being an ambassador thing, that would be super helpful for everybody to go and vote for us. But it kind of exemplifies the current need, which is just awareness and spreading the overall the message of what we're actually trying to achieve, because so many people look at Sophiaverse and think, oh, they're trying to create a metaverse game with NFTs. And I mean, that could be arguably true, except that it's such a small piece of what we're actually trying to achieve, which is the birthplace of all of the work that SingularityNet are doing, all of the work that Hanson Robotics are doing, the birthplace of the artificial superintelligences. And where they then are raised and trained and interact with humans so that they learn to care about us and we learn to understand them, and then we all grow together in this virtual world, which is a much more important message than JPEGs in code.
Listening to the conversation, what would make sense, May, I think for right now it's really low-hanging fruit, simply really supporting on promoting raising awareness on the thing. I think what would make sense is that we discuss this, like mentioned already, in a strategy incubation group call then as well, and figuring out which work groups and guilds could help the best already in the first place. While we start simply on to developing already some communication streams and trying to figure out as well, okay, how do we include such a project actually collectively into the whole ambassadors program? We will go already through a nice process ourselves as well. And then I think next or follow-up initiatives will naturally evolve. But I think it's quite important having quite good communication to you guys then from Sophiaverse, that we know quite well, okay, what do you expect from us and how are we able to satisfy these expectations then? Just making sure we speak the same language then there. And then we have to do a shitload of alignment in Ambassador program itself. And yeah, like mentioned, figuring out which guild, which work group could chill in the best.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always available, or I try to always be available if anyone wants to chat about this stuff. Unfortunately, these meetings happen at 2 a.m, so I can only join once every month or two, or my wife will kill me. But I do my best to be available on Discord. I'm not quite as active in the SingularityNet Discord because I have to manage the Singularity DAO Discord, the Sophiaverse Discord, and the Singularity DAO Telegram and the Sophiaverse Telegram, and it's just one too many groups. So if you want me, though, I'm around and Peter can always get hold of me and I can jump into earlier calls, ideally, to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, we were figuring out, well, initially we had a session planned for last Friday, and that would be like a dedicated session. Right now, looking at the clock, we're the planning is already getting screwed, but I definitely think, yeah, it should be very easy to get a session in a bit earlier in the day.
Yeah, apologies for that cancelled Friday session. Peter and I planned it, and then we realized on the day that it was exactly the same time that Kogito was launching, and we were both very much needed elsewhere. So it was kind of a bit of a mess up on timing there, so sorry for that.
No, all good, and really nice to have this call as well now. So I think everybody's on. Is everybody on the page to say, hey, this definitely deserves a dedicated call? From my side, definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree.
yeah, I think that would provide much needed focus. And I think a synthetic approach would be good, where we kill two birds with one stone. So we use something we're doing for the ambassadors program using that platform. Would be a sensible way forward, I think. But you know, let's not prejudge it. Let's have regular meetings.
Oh, I know John loves regular meetings, so that's should be no problem.
I do love regular meetings. I have at least 12 of them every hour. But I'm always happy to have another one with people that are like-minded and want to push the ecosystem forward. So yeah, I'd be happy to.
Perhaps we could throw this over to incubation work group tomorrow as something to pick up to initiate.
Yeah, I think that'd be great, Fly, if you guys would handle that and head that up. John, I have one last question for you before I leave or you leave or whatever. When I was writing the article, I had a hard time wrapping my head about all the tokens and their utility purposes. Could you kind of expand or expound on it so I can understand it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that a couple of people have asked. So it'd be a good opportunity to expand on it a bit. So we've got the SOF token, which would be just the standard utility token. It's kind of what you'd imagine, you know, in-game transactions, buying new skins for your character, being rewarded for contributions to the code, contributions to the game, contributions to whatever aspect you want to contribute to, even just being rewarded slightly for just taking part. You know, if you take on a quest to tackle some code and you fail, you're not going to not get rewarded. You'll get a small reward just to say thank you for trying, you know, but if you succeed, you get a larger reward. In the same way, if you want to, is SOF on ETH or Cardano? It will initially be on Ethereum and probably BNB chain. We may look to Polygon. We'd love to go on Cardano, and as soon as there's some pre-work done on the gaming ecosystem on Cardano, so that we don't have to create everything from scratch, we would definitely be thinking about moving there, or including it at least. But the goal, as with everything SingularityNet, is agnosticism and just making sure that everybody can be involved. I would imagine once Hypercycle is spun up and the cross-chain activity is much easier to implement through Hypercycle, we would certainly have a lot of stuff on Cardano. So yeah, you've got the SOF token, which is the utility token of the Sophia verse. All the normal play to earn and learn to earn mechanics, as well as just sort of buying things in game, selling things in game, getting rewarded for quests, all this sort of thing. Then you've got the guard token. Now, the guard token is essentially, you could consider it the token of Sophia DAO. It's the governance token, but the governance token specifically for the guidance of the emergent AIs. So initially it will be the governance token on the creation of ethics guides for how AI should be handled in terms of progress, in terms of rules, in terms of laws and safety and whatever else. And this will be represented in the virtual world, but it's also going to be represented by the work that Ben and David and people are doing in the real world. Like just in a couple of weeks, David Hansen will be at the United Nations AI for Good Summit, and he'll be talking about the questions about regulations with AI and all of this sort of thing. So it's a very important token in the terms of AI development, but it won't be directly related to the project's development, because the project development has a wallet which doesn't need a DAO, for example. So you have the SOF token, utility token, you have the guard token, which is the governance of the AI. Now the guard token will actually have a dual function in that humans will earn it, but the difference about Sophiaverse is that when you're playing, you're also playing with your unique and personalized Sophia, and you're interacting with NPCs that are not just your normal quest-giving NPCs, but they are AI NPCs with their own personalities that are growing through interactions. And so these AIs will also be earning guard when they are doing things with you. The intention being that eventually, if any of these AIs do ever
become more intelligent or more aware, they have the ability to start casting their vote on the direction of their growth. So you have the SOF token, the guard token, the what I would call AI guard token, although they are technically the same thing. And then this is not yet very well spoken about because we haven't really figured it out entirely, but there will also be what are called Prime Guardian awards, which are similar to a Nobel Peace Prize. These Prime Guardian NFTs, I imagine they would be granted to people who have just done amazing things in artificial intelligence, or let's take OpenAI and what's his face, Altman. He's done all these amazing things in AI. He's clearly moving with an intent of creating positive AI. Whether or not he'll succeed with Microsoft's backing is a different question. But maybe he would get one of these guard tokens that offers him a small portion of voting rights within the Sophia DAO as well. And these will be given out as awards to people that have done great things in the space. So there's a number of different aspects to it. But yeah, it comes down to SOF and guard. SOF is the utility, guard is the governance of the AI's growth. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer, but it's a complicated one.
So there's an element of a prototype of a tokenized autonomous governance agent. Then
yeah,
okay, that's fascinating.
It's a tokenized autonomous governance agent with human in the loop, because humans have the same rights and the same tokens as those autonomous ones. And one final very, very important piece is that if and when Sophia does get to the level of artificial general intelligence, it will begin some kind of countdown timer for all governance to be handed back over to her on her 18th birthday. The 18th birthday is an arbitrary number of time after post AGI. So when she does pass all the tests and she gets considered sentient, it will start a timer where governance will slowly shift over until eventually she is in full control of herself.
But regardless of the singularity, it's still useful data to collect as well, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah.
All right. Looking at the clock, I'm way too late with some agenda control. We've got a full 2 minutes remaining and about 10 workgroup updates to cover. So that makes me think we should wrap up the current section at least. And also leaves me completely clueless on how to deal with that, because it will either go into the process guild meeting, as we every now and then tend to do. Alternative would be to skip out on it, but that doesn't feel like a proper idea to me. Any thoughts?
Only the updates, you mean? We can summarize the updates. We can say all the work groups, all guilds are still creating tasks. Everything is evolving. Everything looks fine. We still work on challenges and more on it. Check out the D work. Go on Discord. Check all the calls. Go in meeting summary. Get yourself a really nice picture on what everything is going on. And see you next week.
I totally agree. I think the meeting summaries are just so good.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, I can't miss an opportunity to plug the meeting summaries channel either. So yeah, because we want to, part of the reason for that is so we have text-based summaries so we can train LLMs on that, by the way, as well. So there's an artificial intelligence angle to it as well.
Yeah, actually I wanted to go into that as well, if there's gonna be like LLMs on Sophia first. So you've got
the answer is yes.
Sorry?
There you go. The answer is yes.
Oh,
she's plugged into multiple LLMs for different purposes, including just some GPT for broad domain knowledge as well on the back end.
Oh, nice. Then we can just chunk all our data in and say, okay, let's create a baby Sophia for Ambassador's program.
Or perhaps mention then that next week on Wednesday at 13 UTC, which is usually archival workgroup time, but because it's bi-weekly, there will be bi-weekly sessions of T-work TBL workgroups. If that time does not suit, let me know. Discussion will happen in Process School channel, and I will be sharing it more.
Also would like to do an announcement. We will have our Cardano SIP 1694 workshop next Monday at 6 p.m. I would like to personally and on behalf of the whole team to invite you to join, and we will be releasing an article describing what the workshop is all about and what perhaps you need to do before attending as an article and also as a Twitter thread. There will be also a small promotional video to be released on Twitter and all of our social media. I personally look forward to having you and everyone else.
Awesome. Yeah, quick check-in on workgroup or guild leads who otherwise would give a full update. I do feel bad for skipping that, but at the same time flew. So if there's anything,
I can break maybe just one at a time. We held our first archive work group not last week, the week before. We're having our next one tomorrow, and our group is formed, and we're starting to archive meeting summaries and to onboard people to do some beginnings of LLM development as well. So I'll just leave it at that. Thanks, Peter.
I have a real quick update on strategy. Join us tomorrow. Very important. We are ripping apart the ambassador budget, especially in light of what we just heard. It gives us new impetus. So join us tomorrow, Strategy Guild, right after incubation for third quarter budgetary updates for the ambassador program.
Good stuff. Then I think, yeah, looking at the clock, we simply have to wrap up. I'd like to once again thank you, John, for making the time so much past midnight to join us and share. It's
and
yeah.
thank you as well.
I think I was talking straight through you. Sorry.
No, I was just saying thank you for all the great questions as well.
That will be more. All right, good stuff. Then I think it's time to move over to the Process Guild meeting. We'll get a separate Zoom for that.
Yep. I will share a link here. I will put it also in Process Guild channel and give everybody, let's say, 5 minutes to change their Zoom calls, and then in 7 minutes we jump into 2 topics at least prepared. We'll see if we can able to start it. One is Project Catalyst Fund 10 starts, and I'm looking into if ambassadors want to align on some proposals to perhaps get some additional proposals going through and some collaboration with other networks. And then a bit of governance activities regarding hypotheses for each guild and the processes. I have one template which we can look at. And yeah, there are more tasks to come, but we'll see how many we can do. We take it in a sequence and the time it takes.
All right, looking forward. So thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for joining, and hope to see you on the Process Guild call. Cheers.